Hi, I'm Lois MacNaughton. If you've listened to any of the Coherence Labs or Sunshines recordings, you may have heard me referred to as a developmental coach. And I'd like to take a little bit of a time to explain what I mean when I refer to myself as a developmental coach and what makes that different than any other type of coaching. So, in general, coaching is intended to help people who are facing a challenge, who want to change something in their lives. And they may have a pretty clear idea of what they want in their lives, but they've got no idea about how to get there. So if they talk with a coach, the coach provides them with a safe and a confidential space to explore what it is that's going on for them and what they'd like to have happen, what's working, what's not working, what's possible. And so setting some goals, setting some thoughts about what are the steps we can take to help you achieve your goal, help you achieve what it is that you want to have happen in your life so that it's the life you want to live. And in the Coherence Lab, we're looking at people being aligned with themselves. So it's a lot about how do you know you're in alignment with yourself? And in finding that alignment, can you find meaning and purpose in your life that makes it really fulfilling? So there's many, many options for what anybody might want to have change or do when they're working with a coach like this. So what makes a developmental coach different is that we realize that it takes time and effort to make change. Like you can find out that if you do something a certain way, uh, it'll work better. But if that's not the way you've been doing things, that's not going to be comfortable. It's going to be it's going to be downright difficult to even something like saying no. If you're not accustomed to saying no, you can go in and you can get all prepped, and this is how you go about it, and then you go out to say it to somebody, and yeah, your throat freezes up and you can't do it. So in that example, it would be like taking the steps around what is it you're saying no about, and then stepping into some safe spaces to say no to people that you know and you trust before you go out and say it to somebody like the person you're working for, where there's a lot more attached to the outcome. So that's just a little example of what I mean to develop, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. So the coach is providing this safe and confidential space for the person being coached to explore what's going on for them. And a lot of the way that that space is developed is through listening, and it's through the relationship between the coach and the coachee, as we refer to people as coachees. And so that is really based on listening. And so my work as a coach is to hear the person I'm working with so deeply that they can hear themselves. And because sometimes people say things, and I'll reflect it back to them, and they go, I didn't say that. And I've said it, repeated exactly what they said. But my reflecting that back to them helps them hear themselves. And it helps them to understand what's going on for them better. And so through a coaching session or a coaching program, there's a lot of this deep listening where it's not just listening, it's reflecting back. It's shining light in areas that people may not have looked or wanted to look. So there's lots of things that come up, but it's in a very safe space where they can take it in and it's happening. It's not happening so fast that it's overwhelming for them. So in this idea of getting this awareness about what's working, what's not working relative to what the person wants to have happen, we start to get an idea of the things that a person could do or needs to do to be able to achieve their goal. And so we have some objectives that at the end of the program, we can say, well, we actually met these objectives so that you can actually see your growth pattern and what you achieved in all of the work that you've done as you were going through a coaching program. So I gave the example of developing and needing to learn skills. And I was thinking about like someone who wants to learn to dive. And you don't just climb up to the top of the high diving board and dive off and have a perfect dive. Even the Olympic swimmers didn't start that way. Everyone had to, one, be able to swim. Then they had to learn how to dive off the side of the pool. Then eventually they got to move to the low diving board, eventually the higher diving board. And if they were good enough, they got to go and learn how to dive off the high diving board. But you can see that there's this progression of development that needs to happen for a person to become really skillful, to be comfortable, and to gain some mastery about what they're doing so that it's going the way that they want it to go. And that's the thing that developmental coaching offers. So there's a process of talking about what you want to have happen and then trying something different. And I look at these as little experiments. So in between coaching sessions, going out and trying this little experiment, this something that you haven't done or you've never done it in this way before, and seeing what happens. And then reflecting on what happened, usually journaling on it because we tend to forget. So as we journal, then we can go back and look at the journal and go, oh, that's what happened there. Maybe I didn't even really notice it in the moment, but something went better there. So then as I've reflected on it, I can realize that, well, there's another step I could take. That worked well. I can keep doing that. Or that didn't work well. And I won't do that again. But so then taking that learning into the next phase and get going around and around again until the goal is achieved. So there's this perspective of learning as you go and not making it so big that like if you you jump in the deep end first and it doesn't go well, you probably go, well, that isn't for me and I just won't do that anymore. So this sort of like easy steps, which is no different than like you watching a child learning to walk or ride a bicycle or any of those things that we all had to do. Is no different when we're adults. If we're going to learn to do something new or learn something different, we sort of have to go through falling, tumbling, making a mistake, picking ourselves up and trying again. And then eventually learning what really works for us and making us happier and more aligned with ourselves. So as we go through Coherence Lab or Sun Transits, you'll hear me talking about different ideas that you can sort of operationalize the things that we're talking about. Like there's new learnings that are coming about what's going on for people or what's going on in the environment. And there may be things that appeal to you and you go like, well, that's something I would really like to do, but I don't know how to do it. So I'll be offering some ideas, and then I'll also post some things that go into a little bit more depth and about like if you're going to do these practices, because it does take practice, how do you approach the practice? Like what are you observing in yourself? And if you're observing and looking at your journals, how can you look at that and find the patterns and take that learning into the next time you do something? So I'm looking forward to being able to offer that. And I'm looking forward to finding out what any of you might be, what gain from this. So we will look forward to seeing you either in the Sun Transits or in the Coherence Lab.